I'm Reverend Phil, and I'm your host for Words of the Prophets. Where are our prophets now? Where are those messengers God chooses to communicate divine revelation through? In the past, the Creator has sent prophets like Abraham, Siddhartha, Jesus, Muhammad, and many more. Maybe our higher power has switched tactics since we reinterpret God's words as soon as the Creator's prophets leave us. Could it be that Spirit talks to each one of us individually and we haven't learned to listen? On Words of the Prophets, our modern prophets show us how to find the internal prophet that is the I Am, and we discuss the application of spiritual principles in all aspects of our lives. Love and light, everybody. I'm Reverend Phil, and I'm your host for Words of the Prophets. Today, my guest is Linda Drake. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be with you.
Wonderful to have you. And maybe we'll get to talk about, Linda and I go back about 4 years now, almost.
At least.
Yes. Linda is a life path healer, intuitive medium, teacher, and the author of 2 books. The first book is titled Reaching Through the Veil to Heal, and this latest book is titled The Secret Pathway to Healing. Today's prophetic topic is the pathway to love. This phrase can be found in the opening statement of the introduction section of The Secret Pathway to Healing. The statement reads as follows: "The journey of forgiveness enables you to walk the pathway of love." And hopefully at some point we're going to get to talk about a little bit of that. Just want to make an announcement here because we don't often do this, but today we have a live studio audience. Studio audience, let us hear it. Okay. And I didn't have to pay them to do that. Okay, anyway, enough frivolity. Linda, let's start. Tell us your story. How did you get to be the person that wrote these books, and what was the journey like?
It all came about through a miracle. I was very ill and had been ill for pretty much crippled up, my whole body crippled up with pain for at least 8 years. And the doctors didn't really have any answers for me, didn't really have a treatment for me. So I went to prayer. I went to prayer and asked for God's help. And, you know, we often pray a lot, but we don't expect answers most of the time. And I got the answers. God came in and began whispering to me, "Take our gift and we'll take your pain." And I heard it for days and days before it got loud enough that I really paid attention to it. And God created a miracle for me. An energy came over me, and just as fast as that, the pain was released. And within a few days, all of my symptoms were gone. I was struggling with 2 major illnesses, fibromyalgia and lupus, and it had taken over my body and my life changed in that moment.
How did that feel? I mean, I know how it felt well physically. What was your reaction, emotionally, spiritually? How did you react to that?
I was blown away because I never expected a miracle for me. You know, miracle only happened to special people. And so I certainly didn't expect a miracle for me. I just was wanting God to help me deal with the pain that I was experiencing. And so the pain left, and then I was actually afraid to sit down and ask, "What now?" But I did. I sat down and I said, "Okay, God, you've answered my prayers. You created a miracle for me. What do you need from me? What do you expect?" And I heard, just like I'm hearing you speak to me, I heard a voice that says, "Become a healer for us. Work with us to heal humanity." Well, that scared me to death right there because I thought, they chose the wrong person. But I hated to tell them that because I didn't want the pain back. But I just said, "I need help. Show me how." And so they began working with me. I began hearing the voices. They directed my life. They taught me how to use my gifts. And I said, "Okay, you know, you have big expectations of me. I hope I can fulfill, you know, what you expect." And then I griped and complained that I needed a teacher. And so that's when I began hearing it wasn't long before I heard another voice. And the other voice came in, and I said, "Okay, who are you?" Well, when the first voice came in, I questioned, "Who are you? Who's talking to me?" And they said, "Spirit." And I said, "Okay, I know God. I have my religious beliefs, and they're strong. But who's Spirit?" And they said, "Spirit is the consciousness of God. Spirit are the masters that bring you all the messages of God. Spirit is the angels, the angelic realm that work with you as the fingers of God. We are spirit. And so Spirit became my original teacher. And then when I asked for another teacher, another voice came and I said, well, who are you? And they said, we are Abraham.
Did they tell you why you needed a different teacher? I mean, why wasn't Spirit capable of teaching? Or was just Spirit's job healing and they have, like, compartmentalization, so to speak?
I began working with both Spirit and Abraham because I had thousands of questions for them. You can imagine if you have the opportunity to ask questions and get the truth of answers, you have a lot of questions, and that's what I did. And so maybe I was just driving Spirit crazy, I'm not sure, with all my questions, but they wanted me to have more of a hands-on teacher. And that's why they sent Abraham, because the Abraham group is a group of beings that God has sent to humanity to work with us and to teach us how to overcome the negativity of our life, how to find our power, and how to work with that power in our lives and heal. And so I definitely needed some teachers on that, both for my life and for the work that they wanted me to do.
Let me back up just for a second. The Abraham group, isn't that the same group that Esther and Jerry Hicks got famous on?
It is. It's the same group, but I didn't know that. I thought they were my special teachers that God has sent to me. So I thought I was really special in working with them. And but they taught me how to use my gifts, the gifts that God had given me before I even came into this life. They taught me how to use those gifts for humanity.
Were any of these gifts something that you can go back into early life and see that they were there and not know what they were at the time?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Because I had gifts as a child and I didn't understand them and nobody around me understood them. It really scared people when I knew things and felt things and would tell about what things that I dreamed about or things that I saw. And because I can remember as a child talking to the angels. I can remember as a child see people die before they died. And that was really scary for me. And so I asked that it went away. I said, God, whatever this is, I don't want it. I was a child. I didn't understand. And I would see spirits and I would see energy and angels, but nobody else saw them. And so I tried to be normal. I didn't want something that made me different. I tried to be normal. And so many people are like that. You have gifts and you don't know, you don't understand them, and you don't know what to do with them. And so that's become my purpose, is to helping other people understand these are gifts. And these children that see things and know things and feel things, this is real.
Linda has been a guest of mine on my radio show years ago. We probably had this discussion then. But we'll have it again anyway, just a little, because what you're talking about touches something in me. I had a gift as a child. I didn't realize it was a gift. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any religious background, so there was no dialogue between me and God. There was no belief in God. That was, in a lot of ways, just somebody's way of, there was that crutch. And when I would present, and it wasn't like so much seeing, talking to people, but I would have these intuitive senses of people's reactions, their life, that, what you're doing, you're faking it. This is not real. And people would look at me like, you don't know what you're talking about, Phil. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I didn't even know enough, like I said, like you did, to just, God, take this away from me. I don't want it. It stayed there, and I just have to keep, recognizing it and kind of repressing it. And I find that in my practice a lot when I'm working with people. They come up with all these different stories of these experiences in childhood, but there was never anybody there to help guide them or understand it. And they use it as a means of, they saw it as a liability as opposed to an asset.
Yes, we did.
Is that part of a plan, that kind of dynamic?
Well, now we have the indigo children coming in, and I hate to swap subjects on us here, but we've got so many of the indigo children coming in, And these are God's gift to humanity, these children, because they have so many gifts, many more gifts than what we had. And they don't know what to do with it either. And so they have chosen, because we all choose our parents. We choose our parents based on the issues that we want to experience, based on the karma that we want to experience, based on the relationships that we want to have closure with or finish with from previous lifetimes. And so these children, these indigo children, they're God's special children. They're all about peace. They're all about love. They have the gifts, very enhanced gifts that, I thought my gifts were strong and disturbing as a child because of knowing things and feeling things and having premonitions about things. And I would, hear a whole conversation between people and the next day be a part of that conversation. Some people call that deja vu. Well, mine was huge. In the way I experienced it. But these indigos, they're having that. They know things, they feel things beyond what we see, what our logical vision is. And so it's so hard for them being in society. And so they've tried to, now the indigo children coming in are trying to be more selective with parents, with the people that are going to be around them, to teach them, to encourage them, to let them be who they are.
I think all children need that. Want to go talk about Abraham for a second. You're not, at this point, the sole medium for Abraham Group.
No. Abraham's here for humanity.
So Abraham comes through other mediums.
Yes, many, many different mediums in different ways. Now with me, Abraham came in and they taught me, they healed me, not just my physical being, but they helped me with my issues, the issues I chose for this life. And they taught me through on-the-job training, taught me how to understand my journey and my possibilities. I could never, ever have imagined that I would be doing what I am today, because they have held me up and supported me to be a healer, to be a teacher for humanity. And that's due to their help. And they're here for all of us, to lift us up and support us and help us find the very best of us.
So they can be, at the same time they're working with you, they could be working with others.
Everybody, anybody that wants to work with Abraham, because they're teachers for humanity, not just for me, not just for Esther Hicks, but what we bring through us to help people understand how powerful they are.
I guess the question I'm asking, so the listening audience or the watching audience gets to a feel for it, is that spirit is capable of multitasking at the same time.
Of course.
So they could be with you and be with somebody else on the opposite side of the world.
Of course. All in the same moment. They can be touching everybody in the world at the same moment. There's no limitations. It's just like spirits, those that are in spirit at this time, they have no limitations. They can be with multiple family members all at the same time. And so that's what's possible when we're in spirit form.
So you've made reference to karma and you've made reference to choosing parents. Then would it be safe to assume that the path you're on was the one you chose?
Definitely. I didn't see it. I didn't know it. My life, I had a lot of challenges for this lifetime. And I had gone through many, many different challenges with all of my issues through my different relationships. But Spirit decided at that time that I was ready to step into my purpose.
Did you have a say in the matter? I mean,
well,
you're saying Spirit says you're ready. Do we not, as souls, have the choice to then decide, I'm on for this, or wait a second, I want no part of this?
Yes, we do. We do have a choice, but our higher self makes that choice. And our higher self works with, that's our spirit, works with our human consciousness to make us the offer. And they were making me the offer, and take our gift and we'll take your pain. And so during the first probably few months of my journey with them, they were testing me to see if I really wanted this, if I was willing to make the sacrifices to step into this purpose, and I really made the choice to make my life about others.
Did they show you prior lives that led you to this spot in this life?
They have. They have taken me, shown me my past lives, things I did in my past lives, because I had a lot of blockages in this lifetime based on what I had experienced in past lives.
Care to share any of them?
Well, I was very afraid to step into my purpose as a medium, as a seer, as a, people use the word psychic. I was very afraid to step in to be something different, because when I started looking at past lifetimes, and Abraham took me back into some of my past lifetimes where I was killed. I was actually stoned in one lifetime. I was hung in a lifetime. I was burned in a lifetime, all for standing up and being different. And so I was afraid of judgment. Judgment was a big issue for me in this lifetime, and I had demonstrated that issue with judgment throughout my life, even before Spirit came in. And when I started stepping back and looking at the life that I had lived, and that they explained to me that I created this life with all of the issues I lived, with all the relationships, that was part of my life journey. And this, what I'm doing now, working with Spirit, working with Abraham, that was part of my journey also. And there's times when, I'd say, oh, this is too big for me. I can't do that. I can't work with that person with cancer. I can't work with, these issues with people. I can't do that. And that was my fear of other people's judgment of me.
So this time around, though, you got the healing to show you the difference was positive.
Yes. They had to create that miracle for me so I could understand this miracle is for anyone that wants it.
So God is nothing but efficient. Was there more than one karma attached to all that illness?
Ooh, there was lots of karma attached to that illness when we started breaking it all down and seeing, because I complained about, well, why did I have to go? You didn't have to put me through all of this pain just to get my attention, just to get me agree to work with you. You didn't have to do that. Couldn't I just had a common cold or something to get my attention? Well, they felt like I had to endure pain so that I could understand the pain that other people were going through.
Yes. You've been making various references to what I would, for lack of a better term, a hierarchy between Linda and God. Can you sequence them for people watching?
Well, people are taught that God is separate from us. In our religions, we're taught that God is this higher power that's separate from us. And that was one of the things that Abraham had to teach me about, was God is not separate from us. God is a higher power, but that we are each one with God. And you are one with me. We are all connected as one. But when we see God as separate, we don't realize our value. We don't realize how valuable we are. Because, yes, God gave our soul the opportunity to create this life. But God created part of it. We're the co-creator with God.
So, I'm here as Reverend Phil. I'm in a physical form. I'm going to make the assumption that that is about as far away from God as one can possibly get, so to speak. I know that's I hear that.
A little issue there.
When I say that in terms of the communication hierarchy, now you mentioned having a higher self. Is that the next level of communication?
It doesn't have to be. Your higher self is your soul, and God created the soul, and then the soul, God allowed us to create these physical bodies to come in and experience life with. But that soul is always there, a part of us. It knows our plan, and it directs our life, making sure that we do clear the karma, we do have the relationships we're supposed to have, that we do have, work with the issues, have the opportunity to work with the issues that we came here to work out. So our soul directs all of that.
So if I were to say spirit is the energy that's the one, and soul gives us our unique vehicle for karma, would that be accurate?
That's accurate. Yes, that's very accurate.
So as a physical being in a spiritual existence, I can communicate directly to the divine, and the divine can communicate directly to me.
Exactly.
And if that doesn't work for me, I can go through intermediaries.
You can if you desire, but it's not necessary. If I can sit right there, in my office and talk to God, or anywhere I desire to talk directly to God, I don't need anybody in between. Now, sometimes we feel like we need that support, and that's our judgment issue of ourselves. But sometimes we feel like we need that support of others, of our religious leaders, or our pastor or whatever. We feel like we need that, but we really don't. God hears every thought you have. God hears every word you share with Him.
So I could, in effect, eliminate the higher self. I could eliminate the angels and the masters and just go directly to the source, so to speak.
You can, but God provided you this spiritual support group, because God is with you at all moments. But He provides you a spiritual support group to guide this life. And that spiritual support group is your spirit guides. Your spirit guides are souls that have been in body before. Most of them have been with you in previous lifetimes because they chose to come in, stop their journey, and chose to come in to be with you in this lifetime, to guide you through this lifetime, to help you achieve your full potential here. They're not controlling, they have no ego when they are in spirit form.
But being in physical form, I have free will.
Yes, you do.
I have self-will. So is that powerful enough to override all of these other influences?
The other influences, you mean your angels and your guides?
Yes.
Oh yeah, look around. A lot of people are not listening to their angels and their spirit guides, or even their loved ones in spirit who are still working with them to help them fulfill their purpose. They're not listening. They've totally turned it off.
And does that, in effect, create future karma?
It creates present karma, future karma. It creates it all, because you don't understand how powerful you are at affecting other people's lives. The karma you're creating today will ripple out for many lifetimes and create negativity for you, for them, or create joy. It depends on the karma that you're creating. That's how powerful you are. God gave you free will to create anything you desire in this lifetime. But there's consequences to our choices.
There's an interesting statement Edgar Casey made, that karma is the choice of self-will over divine will.
It's very true.
So I get to create something. Just because I can create it doesn't mean it's in my best interest or anybody's best interest.
Exactly. Because we have forgotten, humanity has forgotten that we are powerful, and that our words and our actions don't just affect our lives, ripple out and touch everybody else's lives.
God is efficient.
Yes, He is.
So,
But He gave us free will, and we will live it out for many, many lifetimes.
till we get it.
Yes,
But
until
there's
we
no
get
limit.
it. There's no limit. One day I asked Abraham, I said, look, Abraham, I'm working really, really hard in this lifetime. When you taught me about karma, I began changing my choices, changing what I project into other people's lives. So do I have to keep doing this over and over again? And he said, yes. I said, well, how many times do I have to do this? He said, until you can love everything and everyone unconditionally. Then you are the vibration of God.
And at that point, you can come back if you want to.
If you choose to.
Choose to.
Because then you come back as a teacher.
Teacher, yes.
And we have many, many teachers here among us.
I had a teacher who told me that at any given moment there are 500, he called them saints, who are here to help us. Is that accurate?
Let me ask. Abraham says no. With humanity, they have many, many more than that, because humanity has expanded. The numbers of humanity has expanded, and we needed many more than that. So yes. And what we don't realize is we don't just have our own personal spirit guides and angels helping us every moment of the day. We have our loved ones in spirit that are helping us, but we also have masters. God has provided all the masters that are available for you. All you have to do is ask if you want to work with one of them. And the saints, they're right there. You know, all of these spirits, God has not denied us anything. They're all available for us.
So let's turn this to the books.
Yes.
Are the books that you have written, they've both been given to you by Abraham?
Yes, I am certainly not a writer. And when Abraham came in one day, we'd been working with people. We do healing work with people, one-on-one healing work with people. We go and we teach, we do workshops, lectures, speak to large groups of people. But I love my one-on-one work with people, and Abraham enjoys it too, because that's how they originally taught me. And after about 8 years of work, Abraham came in one day and he said, "You're trying to heal the world one person at a time, and we need our message spread to the masses so everyone has the tools to heal their lives." And so and I said, "Okay, go ahead, go out and start sharing your message." And he said, "No, we're going to share it through you." And I said, "Well, I'm not a writer." And he said, "You don't have to be. Just write down what we tell you." And so Abraham began writing, and they wrote. We've got 3 books written, but these are the first 2 published in our series, in our healing series. And the first was Reaching Through the Veil to Heal. And I just thought it was just the most amazing book when they wrote it, because it was written on things that we had been teaching people for years, but it was written in such a way that was so clear, all about the soul's journey. All about as we go through the journey of life and we go through the journey of death and what happens when we cross in to the light.
There was a phrase in that book, I remember when we did the radio show, we kept coming back to it, something to the effect of death is a gift from God.
Yes, it is. It's our reward. Think if we had to stay here forever and our bodies broke down, how hard it would be. But death it's our reward, because we created a plan. Our soul created a plan before it came. And we come into this life and we start working our plan. Sometimes we wander off and we forget the journey and we lose our focus. But that's okay. We go through our life. We have our experiences. And then and before you came into this life, and I have, this on high authority here, before you come into life, you've already created the date of your death, the birth, and the date of your death, or the approximate date, because you can negotiate as you get closer to it to make sure you've accomplished what you're here to do. But the journey is beautiful when we go through that doorway of death. It's beautiful. It is the reward, because you're going home to God.
So this is really our unnatural state of being, so to speak.
It really is, but it's one that's so necessary for our journey, for our soul to experience, because this is where we grow.
This is, of course, in a physical body is where we get to feel the pain.
Yes, it is. We get to feel the love. We get to feel our relationships, ups and downs of the relationship, and the love, the pain, the hope, the joy. It's all in our relationships here. But we mimic what we experience on the other side, because we're given that in a full form on the other side, but we get a little bit of it when we're here.
So the Reaching Through the Veil to Heal is about our life purpose, what death is, and how to deal with death when somebody has left.
Yes, because it's not just written to help people that are on their journey through life and journey through the doorway of death, but it's also written to help those of us that are left behind, that are left in that state of grief, because we do not understand grief until it's forced on us. It's forced into one of our relationships. And so most of us don't know what to do with that grief. And so, Abraham has written about the 9 stages of grief and how we go through it. And part of that is understanding our loved one's journey. Understanding that they have not left us. They did not abandon you. They are still there for you, helping you with your journey. And you can communicate with them. They're right there around you all the time. All you have to do is think about them, and they come in.
Talk about what coming in is for you.
What do you mean?
Well, you say they come in. I mean, you've had these experiences now for years.
Yes.
Can you put it in terms of somebody's going to want to have their first experience? They're going to like, Mom, come talk to me.
Yes.
What should they expect? What should they not react to? You know what I'm asking?
Yes, I do, because most of the people that come to me to do a session with me or a communication with a loved one through me, you don't need me. I may start the journey for you, or like our book explains, what to expect. Because every time you think about them, you connect an energy to them. Sometimes they're busy connecting an energy to you, and they just flash into your mind. They may have been gone for 20 years, but they flash into your mind, and they give you a thought, a memory, a feeling about them. And sometimes it's like, the people say, well, the hair stood up on the back of my neck, or I just tingled all over and I knew that they were there. Sometimes they'll come to you in your dreams, but not always. Not if you're in the depth of grief. They can't get through into the dreams. And so you have to call them in. You have to let them be a part of your grieving process. You may smell them, you may feel them, you may hear your name, or you may wake up at night and just, catch a glimpse of them standing there.
Two questions. I had an experience, I don't know, probably my early 20s. I had an uncle who I wasn't particularly close with pass over, and I knew he was passing over. Never had that experience with other relatives I was closer with. Can you explain that dynamic, or can Abraham explain that dynamic?
Okay. Abraham is saying that it's not about the journey you experienced with that uncle in this lifetime. It was about your connection from a previous lifetime.
Okay. That would make
Because
sense.
we keep coming back. We have soul groups, and we keep coming back with the same group over and over and over again. We've created karma with somebody. They come right back there with us to experience it with it, to work that karma out, to heal. But we all come in together. At this part of our journey, our soul's journey, nobody that you interact with is new to you.
I accept that without hesitation. I just hadn't thought about that. But when you started talking about it, I just remembered that, I remembered having that feeling. And then a little bit later, the phone rang, and I just said, Uncle Al's died. Mm-hmm. And it was like, yes. People looked at me, but they always look at me strange at that
Me
point.
too.
Yeah. We had visited you in Austin, and Linda and I, my wife Linda, you gave us kind of joint reading. One of the things you talked about in that reading was connecting to my father who had passed over, and him expressing horror and amazement at the pain that went on around him, caused by him. Mm-hmm. Can you explain that review process?
You mean when they're looking back?
Yeah.
Okay. When we cross over, now I've talked to thousands. One of the gifts that Spirit taught me to use was my gift of mediumship, of communicating with spirits on the other side. And through my journey with Spirit, I have, and Spirit's always a part of my connection with souls on the other side, because they open the doorway for me and enable me to have that connection. And part of that is, and I've talked to thousands of them, but helping me understand what they experience when they cross over. And they each one talk about their movie. And sometimes they talk about their movie being a comedy, and sometimes it's a drama, and sometimes it's a really scary movie. But they talk about their movie, because when they cross over, there is no time for them. Yet they want part of their healing process is watching the whole movie of their life, every second, every moment, every life they touched, every word they said to somebody, and so that they can understand what they created in this lifetime, what karma they created, and all of that is logged because that is part of their next journey. And so what Abraham, since I won't remember anything, Abraham is saying, your father, okay, thank you, your father just came in. Thank you, I appreciate the help. I was stumbling there, okay. So your father just came in and he said, you know, he did choose a very, very difficult experience in this lifetime with his relationships, and he wasn't able to be, he didn't know how to be the father that was needed. And he's talking about the challenges that he created within his own family that were created for him and as he was growing up, and that he brought into his own family experiences, and how he was trying to heal that.
But at the same time, the whole family showed up to have those experiences.
Yes, they all agreed to it.
So it's like, and we'll get into that. We talked about forgiveness in the topic.
The second book, yes.
Yes, and so the forgiveness, part of that forgiveness is that understanding that I'm not a victim, I'm a volunteer.
Exactly. You agreed to come in and have this experience with him because you agreed to come in with certain issues into this lifetime. And of course, now we're going into the second book, The Secret Pathway to Healing. That's all about the issues that you came into this lifetime to experience. But you had to have somebody to experience them with. So you choose a specific father with his issues, a mother, siblings, everybody played a part of this. It was all agreed upon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's understanding that you agreed to this helps you release any anger, any pain that you experienced during that relationship.
You made a comment that the review sets the tone for the next reincarnation. Does it always have to? Can I come back for can I have had a purpose way back here and kind of put it on hold, and now the circumstances are right and deal with it now, as opposed to just dealing with what was directly before it?
Yes, you can change it all around. You can change it all around. You're in charge. God's a support system. People think, oh, you know, it's God's plan. It's really not God's plan. The way they explain it to me, it's your plan. God doesn't make things happen to you or for you. God is the part that when you fall down and you're struggling, He picks you up. He picks you up and supports you through every experience you have.
So, during my formative years, during about what amounted to more than half my life, I was dysfunctional. And
the secret is we all are.
Yeah,
just in different ways.
I hear that, and I experienced that. My dysfunctionality took a lot of strange forms. Mm-hmm. There are lots of times where the consequences of my actions were not as severe as they should have been. Is that God, angels coming in and bailing me out of my own stupidity?
No,
it was my own recklessness.
It was understood that they're saying it was understood that it was part of your journey. It wasn't there to destroy you. It was there for you to learn from.
So there's something built into the mechanism that allowed me to only go so far, and if I didn't assert free will, I wouldn't go past that point.
Correct.
If I asserted free will, went past that point, would I have gotten bailed out?
That would have been your choice to the severity of it, because there's consequences to all choices.
So my choice would not be me physically, Phil, but my higher self looking at and shaking its head, and what are we going to do with you now?
Yes, exactly. And that's why God gave us angels, because we need a lot of protection, even from ourselves. And my angels have bailed me out many different times. But your angels, like I said, the spirit guides are there to guide your life, not to control it, to guide it, to provide you with opportunities for growth and direction for your life. But the angels are there to heal you, protect you, love you, and nurture you unconditionally.
Let me go to another example, because this is an interesting, for me anyway. I hope somebody else watching it finds this interesting. Somebody who has suicidal ideation.
Yes.
They act on it. I have friends who have told me, bought a brand new gun, put it to the head, click, 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 wouldn't fire, wouldn't fire, wouldn't fire. They throw it across the room and it goes off. So for what we're talking about, that's angels intervening to, wait a second, you don't really need to go there.
Yes.
But at some point, I had one friend who actually finally got successful killing themselves. So they got to a place where their free will was so focused in on ending their existence that the angels would not, because they're honoring that lesson, whether they agreed with it or not.
True. No spirit dies without God knowing and without God's agreement to it. And God understands that, we can create a very, very difficult life, sometimes too difficult to endure. And so he will, if he sees that that you're not going to have the opportunity to change it or fix it, he will say, "Come home, child," and he takes you home. Not out of judgment, not to punish you. Now, that doesn't mean your journey's over. It just means the next lifetime you're going to create that same situation, and hopefully you'll be strong enough to endure it. But sometimes, God will intervene and say, "No, it's not your time. Let's give you another chance."
So we don't necessarily have to fulfill the karma. We decide we put it on hold and try it at another time.
Yes.
But we always have to, basically, at some point or another, fulfill the karma.
At some point we do. Yes. We will give that, our spirit will choose. God doesn't force us back here. Our spirit will choose to have that experience.
The secret pathway to healing. You talk about that there are 7 lessons that we come in for. And that we get to choose what lessons we want to come in for. Can we choose them all?
Well, yes, I proved that in my life. As Abraham kept stressing to me, I was quite ambitious. Because yes, I chose to experience all 7 issues in my lifetime. I don't know if I'm a slow learner or just ambitious, but it does create for a very challenging and eventful life. But we not only do we choose the experience, the issues, we choose the people to have them with.
Exactly. Before we go even further into this, can you, for the people watching, list the 7 issues? The
7 issues, and you can look at your life because you would have started experiencing them early in your life, in your relationships with family, with teachers, everybody around you as the child, and you would have experienced them, created belief systems, and patterns with them, and carried them on out into what you're experiencing even today in your relationships. But the first issue you could have chosen would be the issue of trust, trusting that people are going to be there for you and meet your needs. The second issue is the issue of abandonment. It can be physical abandonment, emotional abandonment, neglect. The next issue would be the issue of abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, comes in all different forms. The next issue is the issue of control. Now, all of these issues are double-sided. A little bit, is great for us. A lot is abusive. So with control, we control to keep our world safe. And because that's all control is about fear of the unknown. So a balance with control is a good thing. Then the next issue is the issue of judgment. Now, judgment creates separation. It's a belief system of separation. One is better than the other. But with judgment, often we experience judgment if we feel like, as a child, that we have to earn love. Because we have to earn judgment, earn people's approval of us and their love of us. The next issue is the issue of responsibility. Many of us come in believing that our worth was in us stepping up and taking responsibility for ourselves and for others, because we're afraid that other people will not keep us safe, will not take responsibility. Then the last issue, and this is an issue that we all chose, because it's the issue of love. We come from the loving arms of God, and as babies we come in expecting to be loved in that way. But love is very confusing because there's different types of love. It's demonstrated in different ways by different personality types. And often if we're emotional and we do not receive that emotional love, and the love we receive is very functional, that's confusing for us because we believe as babies or children that we're not worthy of love.
So many questions, so little time. I want to take the first and the last. Are they the major lessons, trust and love?
Yes.
If I get those, I fill the gaps from in between.
Yes. You have to heal all of the other things and heal the pain around those experiences. Forgiveness is the key to loving. It truly is.
Would not forgiveness not be necessary if I didn't have judgment?
Ooh, that's a hard question. These issues are built into you, and so all you know are to create these
So
experiences
I'm born with
for
the
you.
judgment.
You're born with the judgment. How you evolve through it and release the negativity of it, that's the key.
So if I learn, and I have to do more than intellectualize it, I have to internalize it.
Yes, yes.
That God loves me, God is all-powerful, I am one with God. Can I not then grace myself through some of those other things? I mean, is there not a point where I get the basic understanding and then it kind of covers the rest?
Through awareness, we have to have awareness of our issues so that we can see how these issues have affected our life and how it's affected our relationships and what we've created in those relationships. Mm-hmm. But we created it.
Yes.
And so by understanding that we created it, we agreed to these issues, then it's easier to forgive. But the inner child, and that's what we talk about in the second book, your inner child, that part of you that experienced all of that pain, that's the part of you that hangs on to the pain, that hangs on to the anger, the fear, and the judgment. And when you start working with your inner child, that's when you can create self-love.
So the inner child is a separate but part of entity that's within all of us.
Yes, we all have the inner child.
And that inner child, then, if I'm hearing you correctly, its purpose is to keep us karmically on track.
Well, its purpose is to have the original experience with our issues. And that child establishes the belief systems, and then those belief systems create patterns, and the child, all of that child's belief systems are still inside of you. You may not want them there, but they are there. They're a part of you, and they'll jump up at the most, inopportune moments and begin, controlling your emotions. And you don't know where it comes from, but it's that child's pain.
So it's a lot of these lessons, because we are entering into a different existence, it's easier to place the roots of these lessons in the child. There may be other lessons that come because of the karmic plan down the road, illness, accident, death, whatever. But those base core, those 7 issues, those really come in at childhood.
Yes, it came in.
Because what you said, we come in with all this warmth and love that we've had with the divine, and then all of a sudden, they basically slap us on the butt, and it's a whole new world.
That's true. But the child actually knows. If the child is not wanted, it knows before coming in that it has those feelings of abandonment before it's even born.
Can the child pick up a lot of those feelings, in the womb?
Yes, because the child, although the spirit of the child is not connected to the baby, and this was a shock for me, and I had to really work on that belief system when Abraham handed me that. The spirit of the child is not connected to the infant until it is just before it's born. So it has full awareness of everything that's going on with both of its parents. Its thoughts, it knows whether it's wanted, it knows where it's going to be loved, whether it's going to be safe, but it signed up. The spirit signed up for that journey.
And as soon as it gets slapped on the butt, it forgets that it signed up for the journey. Now it's a whole new dialogue, a whole new script.
Yes, it does. But the spirit's constantly guiding that child to make sure that it experiences exactly what it signed up for.
Wonderful. I need to take a quick break here, make a couple of quick announcements. Then I want to come back and talk a little bit more about the second book, particularly the hope, empowerment, and healing.
Yes.
Wow, I don't even want to make these announcements. I'd rather keep talking, but I will make them. I just wanted to remind all of you watching that this is public access TV, and public access television means you, the public, are why we're here. So I'd love to hear from you. Comments. Let us know how you like the new set. You know, email me, call me. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if there's a show you'd like to see me do. Maybe there's some clarification on a show. There was something there you didn't understand. Contact me. Maybe you want to do a show with me. Love to hear from you. We've done that before. It wouldn't be the first time. So public is public. Get involved. The other thing I wanted to just announce is that I am a minister, and I'm also a state licensed counselor, and I do spiritual counseling. Kind of a lot of what Linda and I are talking about here. Spirit heals. We don't heal ourselves with our best thinking. We heal ourselves from the place of spirit. And my job as a counselor is to guide you to that place. I don't do the work for you. I guide you to it. I take with whatever you bring with you. I don't care what the issue is. I don't care what your beliefs are. I'm not here to convert you. I'm not a congregational minister. I don't have a vested interest in putting bodies in seats on a regular basis. I work on a donation basis. If money's tight, Spirit doesn't move you to donate, that's fine. You know, we work with you. We're here to help you heal. So if it sounds like it might work for you, call me. We could set up an appointment. We can get together. And I think that's it for my announcements. If I missed something, too bad. Hope, empowerment, and healing.
Yes, and may I stop for a moment and say, you know, people often question me, you know, where do you come up with this? Did you read this in somebody's book? You know, where do you come up with this knowledge? I am totally Spirit trained. The knowledge that I share with you is with the knowledge that Spirit and Abraham have shared with me. And so I'm just passing it on to you because everybody is at a different place in their journey. Our truth continually changes as our consciousness changes, and we all hope to continue growing in that consciousness. Because, yes. And I never thought about it, but Abraham presented this to me one day that, you know, God is experiencing life through us, through our consciousness. And God's consciousness is changing through our changes.
So we are created to help God grow.
Yes.
And that's why we have individuality, because
Yes.
if we would just mirror images, just be talking to yourself in the mirror, nothing's going to change.
What purpose would we have?
Yeah, or have that, what was that, Austin Powers mini-me.
Yeah.
You know, well, so that's why we're here, to add to that vast knowledge of experience that God seeks and created us to be part of.
Yes.
One other announcement, your announcement. I just wanted to get back to you. Tell people, I mean, I know they're flashing it, but tell them that they can get a hold of you and that
yes, I am accessible. I travel all over the country. You can go to my website, lindadrakeconsulting.com, and you can contact me through my website. It has a wealth of information on that website about, you know, articles that Spirit has written, my schedule, because as I said, I'm constantly on the road. I do private sessions while I am traveling. I do phone readings while I am traveling. So, you know, if you're wanting to get in touch with me, if you're wanting to learn more about my books, all of that information is on my website and available to you. So I hope you will go and check it out and find out what I'm about, what Abraham's message is about, and how you can contact me.
Okay, you know what? Let's jump.
Okay.
What's the third book going to be about?
The third book, it's all about relationships. And as soon as I get time, I'll sit down and get it all ready for publish. But it's all about how to be in relationships, how to teach people how to love you. But first you have to learn how to love yourself.
Exactly.
That's the key to it, because we go in relationships and we expect, just because somebody says that they love us, that they know how to love us. They don't know how to love us until we teach them. And we don't know how until we've learned to love ourselves.
The Beatles once said, in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make.
So true.
Yes. So this book is there going to be more books beyond this, or is this
Abraham says that right now they have a plan for 7 in our series of the healing journey.
Excellent. So we can have you back next time the book is...
I sure hope so.
Oh,
and
good.
I'd love to come back and talk more about the secret pathway to healing, because it's all about hope, empowerment, and healing your life.
We've got about 3 minutes. Go for it.
Oh, Abraham wants people to understand that you are responsible for your life. You are responsible for what you're creating, the positive and the negative, and what your intent is and how you're creating this journey. And nobody's more powerful than you are in your journey.
And as I perceive it, it's brought to me because my higher self works with the collective higher selves around me. And if I need somebody to love me, it brings me somebody to love me. If I need somebody to be rude to me, it brings me somebody to be rude to me.
Exactly.
So nobody ever appears in my life by accident.
Exactly. You put them there. You manifest them to push your buttons every day. And now everybody's looking and go, I'm going to have to rethink that.
Yes.
Who's pushing my buttons? Do I want that? But yes, you need it. You need people. You had people in your childhood that pushed your buttons and created experiences for you. And when they're out of your life, you bring others in. You got the second crew coming on board here.
Being a counselor, I hold on to my license to do continuing education. And one of the places I'm really focused in on is what they call brain-based therapy. Mm-hmm. And what that basically, in simplest form, means is we get programmed reactions. Yes. Is those programmed reactions the extension of, the equivalent of the inner child?
Yes, it is. It really is, because that's what was established as the child. And so that's all the child knows. And so it keeps repeating itself in your life. And when you can release those belief systems, you release the patterns.
Wonderful. And I start to release those with trust, with love.
Yes.
And I get the trust and the love. I get rid of the judgment. I don't even need the forgiveness, because I see this was exactly what I asked for. It's my own betterment. I chose it, so why should I hold it against me or anybody else?
Exactly. But forgiving the people that hurt the child, letting that child forgive them, is the key to healing.
And also to basically acknowledge the fact that forgiving ourselves for the choices we made based upon the misunderstandings we had.
Yes, exactly.
Beautiful. Linda, thank you so much for being
Oh,
here.
thank you. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
Thank Abraham for coming along. I don't know if you remember, but in one of the shows we did, one of my guides was named Homer. Thank Homer for me. And we'll have you back with the next book, if not sooner.
Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Likewise. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and gotten as much out of it as I have. Any questions, feel free to contact Linda. Feel free to contact me. Some of this may sound strange, but you know what? It's truth. We get to create our own reality. Our life is a reflection of what we think, feel, and do, and we get the power over that. So if Linda can help you or I can help you, feel free to contact us. We'd be happy to. So until next week, demonstrate that divinity. Create what works for you. Don't create stuff that doesn't work for you. Blessings to you all. I'm Reverend Phil, and I've been your host for Words of the Prophets. Thank you for tuning in. Please join me again next week, same time, same channel, for more Words of the Prophets.